So today we're talking about longevity secrets, vibrant and living well, because that's what we want. We talk sometimes about maybe living to be 100, and that doesn't sound so great if we don't feel great, right? So we are going to get some clues from 4 of the most incredible people here in Wichita. Please, each of us tell us who you are and what you do and why you're here, what maybe you're going to talk about today. So we appreciate you being here.
Right. I'm Tom Welk. I'm with Harry Heinz Memorial Hospice. Actually, this is my 40th year with that program. I helped start it in the early 80s, so I can tell you I would not have dreamed in 1982-83 that we would be a program where we are. I do professional education, which means I deal mostly with topics dealing with medical ethics and how to provide good care at end of life, which is a very important part of life's journey. So that's what I'll be reflecting on, and I think I gave you a bit of a title to sum up my comments.
Yes, you did. We actually used your words on the flyer.
Oh, really? I did
Yes,
not know that.
we sure
so
did.
You already are familiar with the Latin mens sana and corpore sano, which translates very simply that we operate as a total entity, so a sound mind and a sound body, everything goes together. So those are the ways I think I can reflect on how we take advantage of the gift of life and live it fully all the way to the end.
Is that not beautiful? Okay, amazing. Amazing.
My name's Charlie Moon. The reason I'm here is because Catherine asked me to be here. And I'm going to talk about 4 things, but I'd like to ask questions before I start talking. How many of you, everything's gone the way you planned it the last couple of years? Just go ahead and raise your hands. One liar sitting right over there. And the rest of you are honest people, so thank you for being here. So I talk to people about transition when things change, because we all go through change. I mean, it happened to Jesus Christ, right? I mean, he went, and so it's going to happen to us too as we go through transition. And so I help people understand how that process works. I'm going to talk about 4 Ps. I'm going to talk about monkey first, and I'm going to talk about being brave.
Love it. Intrigued.
The Greek philosopher Heraclitus said it well, Charlie. You never can put your foot in the same river twice.
That is right.
Wow.
Hello, I'm Jerry Brungart. I'm with Women Hiking Kansas and Beyond, as well as Cindy. We are both the founders of this group, which we will talk to you about. We do monthly hikes for women, anyone 12 years of age and older. And many of you could go to our hikes. We have women up to the year of 87 currently. So we have a lot of age variance within our group. So we'll let you know some information about our hikes.
Sorry, fellas, Women Hiking Kansas and Beyond is all for the girls. So, but you can hear what all you're missing out on. My name is Cindy Coughenour, and I'm part of number 2 founder of Women Hiking Kansas, but also Fearless and Female, which is a program of personal safety and practical self-defense. And I think y'all got a little stabby kitty, yes, and we're going to learn how to use that. And I don't want to hear that you're using it on your husbands on the way home. Or maybe we'll just keep it quiet.
So these stabby kitties, that was so nice of you to bring one for everybody. But, and I'm glad you're going to learn how to use it. And I understand that sometimes they will take it away from you if you try to go on an airplane.
Okay, so TSA is not a fan. If you fly, put it in your checked bag, all right? They will take it away from you at security. If you go to Social Security office, Hartman Arena, Koch Arena, Intrust Arena, all the arenas, they will take it away. So, I did say Social Security office. They will take it away. Doesn't mean that it's illegal, just means that any school, business venue can determine what is carried into their building. Now, I did have an 80-year-old one time say, if you put it in your brassiere, they won't know that you've got it. So I don't recommend that, but FYI. if it is ever taken away, you shoot me an email and I will get you another one because I want y'all to be safe.
Very good. So, Miss Jillian, what did you take on an airplane recently? Could you please share with them?
Okay, that was not my fault, first of all. So I was in Colorado. I was on a hike, and some of my partners that I was hiking with thought that it would be a good idea to bring the scissors from the Airbnb.
Oh, no.
And so I always hike with a backpack, and so they just stuck it in one of my pockets and had forgotten to mention it to me. And so the next morning, I'm flying home, and I got pulled aside, and they don't really like the look of scissors on x-rays when you're trying to board a plane. So she took them away from me and asked me where they came from. I was like, you're not going to believe this. Those really aren't mine. Yeah. Yeah, but I must have flying by with a good radar because they let me keep the scissors.
Is that
Weird
crazy?
enough. Yep, they'll take the stabby kitty, but.
So this stabby kitty is worth something. It's an item of value. She got on with giant scissors, but you might not get on with your new stabby kitty, okay? So I'm just telling you, it's kind of a cool thing to own. All right. Do you have any questions to start this? Or I'll just start asking questions until you guys start participating. Anybody have a question for Lawrence Welk's cousin, who started hospice here, and I think probably my grandpa, Harrison, might have been one of your very first patients. It was an incredible experience for our family, and that's going back to the 1980s. And we've had other hospice experiences in our family that weren't like that. And now, how many competitors do you have in hospice here locally?
We were obviously the first one and the only one starting in the early 80s. And starting in 95, those that are more designed on the for-profit venture started coming. And I believe my last count was about 27.
About 27 hospice
27.
companies.
We're still the only nonprofit in the area. Community-based, we're not held by stockholders or investors of any kind. Our bottom line really is the mission that we have. And just to put in terms of where my philosophy comes from, I think the gift of life is a very important gift that we've been given. And I think we need to have the opportunity to live that gift as fully and as well as possible, to the very last breath. I've been doing this, as I mentioned, for a number of years, and people keep asking me, as you can see from my wisdom here, I'm at that point of retirement, way past it. And people ask why I keep doing it. It's really more of my passion. Can I use some bad language here, Catherine?
Yes, sir.
My standard way of answering is kind of a crude way. If there ever comes a point in the morning where I have to drag my ass out of bed to do what I do, I think it would be time to say enough is enough. But so far, so good. I feel very much enriched by the people that I provide care for and support for. So it's not just a gift that I give to others, it's a gift that I give back in return. And that's basically what that word means. Coming from the Latin, talks about reciprocity, that interaction is how our lives are enriched. And I think especially in that very last part of life's journey, it's a very holy, sacred part of life's journey. And I think that's where a lot of fullness of life keeps going on. I need to make a comment. I was a little bit late because I had to park at the back 40. There's no parking left. And I said, what the heck? There surely can't be that many people here. And I walk in and my goodness gracious. So thank you for coming this morning and listening to us. And I would be very much open to questions, obviously, as we go along. But for the time being, let me just answer that question you posed here for me.
So, and you're really here not to just talk about living fully to your last breath, but living fully. And let's add some quality to the life that we have now. And how can we do that, Father Tom?
We so often, I think, tend to focus in on just one dimension in our culture that we live in, the importance of good physical functioning. And in no way do I want to downplay that. I think you ladies are talking about that aspect of it also. I stay very active myself. I would hate to try to keep up with you on those hikes, I think. But at the same time...
And you're not invited, so
yeah.
I'm sorry.
we'll leave that unaddressed for the moment. But the way I stay very active, I love gardening. I basically, and this is not an exaggeration, I did a cooking program for PBS Kansas. I live off the land. With my gardening, I do a lot of pickling and canning with my hunting and fishing. And I never grocery shop. Basically, that's how I stay active. It's in the garden and doing those things. So there are many ways to stay active. I used to be a lot more active. I played baseball and ice hockey in North Dakota. That's why my knees are a little shaky now and then. I kind of wore them out. I've had 3 surgeries on each knee. But my family doctor says, Tom, you need a knee replacement. Oh, okay. So I went to the orthopedic guy, and he says, you got one of the ugliest looking knees I've ever seen. I said, can you go upstairs? Yeah. He said, does it keep you from doing anything? I said, no. I do whatever I want. He says, let's just put it off. If you can't handle it anymore, we'll go for that. But in the meantime, staying active is so very important. And yes, I'm not capable of doing what I used to do when I was a youngster. I think many of you in front of me can't either. But it doesn't mean you and I can't do things to stay active physically. But that's not the be-all and the end of all who we are, that saying, that Latin saying. And when it comes to where I often encounter people in my work with hospice, it's in the psychosocial spiritual issues that we above all need to stay active too. And I'm not talking here about faith communities and religion. That's a very important part. But how you and I are defined is not simply with our physicalness. Whether from day 1 or year 100, yeah, that's important, our physicalness. But it's not the be-all and the end-all. What do we do to stay active in spirit, in mind? Those are very important things too. And when I do programs on, for example, compassion fatigue and burnout and all of that, I kind of list the things that I like to do to stay active, but I always make sure different strokes for different folks. What I do, you might say, oh my God, I could not begin to think about putting a line on the water to catch a fish or digging out some weeds in a garden. But there are things that every single one of us can do and like to do and want to do. That's what I'm wanting to tell you. So,
beautiful. And so I would add to that, I just interviewed an amazing woman on quilts. One of our senior living professionals called and said, oh my gosh, I've got like the best topic and person for you to have on your show. Even though we have 95 topics ahead of her, we put her right on, and I'm not sure which Friday she airs, but it's coming up very soon. She says every quilt tells a story. She goes around and teaches on this. Have you had her at the Red Hat Ladies? She'd be a good one. Some of you have had her. She's amazing. You got 2 years maybe to book this lady because her career is going to take off. She and her husband plan to pack up these quilts and travel the country telling this amazing story. Her quilts seriously do tell a story. She loves quilting. She'd like for you to all be quilters. But the reality is, I'm not going to be a quilter. It wouldn't turn out good. But her quilts are amazing, so tune into that show because she's got quilts that tell a story about the Underground Railroad and about domestic abuse that she suffered from in the organization that saved her, and Habitat for Humanity that helped her build her own home. And you just won't even believe the stories. She did COVID quilts that are hilarious and COVID quilts that are terrifying. So she's an amazing storyteller through her quilting. So I appreciate those points, Tom. The over-encompassing thing is find a purpose and find a passion. One other thing I would add is that, and we've told this story before, some of you may have heard it, but we have a wonderful woman that works within the senior industry. When she was a little girl, she would sit with her great aunt that had dementia really, really bad, and she just loved spending time with her. And this lady sometimes would say, you know what sounds good? Ice cream. So the whole family would pack up in a station wagon and go get ice cream. And that would be just so much fun. A little while later, after they got back home, she'd say, you know what sounds good? Ice cream. So they'd hop back in the station wagon, go get ice cream again. So that woman didn't realize what she was doing. She was creating a legacy without even remembering that she just had ice cream already. Okay? She didn't know she was planting a lifetime legacy into that little girl who's now devoted her entire life to helping people with dementia. Is that crazy? That's how God can work. That's how we can work as individuals, is inspiring people when we don't even maybe know what's going on. And that's why when people talk about medical ethics and the right to end your life ahead of time, if you can get comfort care and be well provided for, then you can still continue to live out your legacy. What if in those last days, the last moment, something extraordinary happens and you missed it, or they missed it? So that's what I have to say about that.
I want to make just a couple of comments on your nice reflection here. I'm fond of Mark Twain. I think many of you are. And he talks about different ways to really illustrate the importance of our life. And he talks about on a tombstone, invariably you'll have three things: the birth date, death date, and what's in between? A little hyphen, or as he calls it, the dash. And he said, of those three things, it's the dash, the journey, the way we live our lives, that's the most important. Then he's got one more, and I'll shut up. So now you've got to figure out what are the two most important days on that journey, on that dash. And invariably we come up with, well, the birth date, right? And then when we say the death date, Mark Twain says, I agree with you on the first one, the birth date, when we enter the journey. But he said the second most important day is the day we figure out why we are here. That's a tough one. What you talked about, finding that meaning, that purpose. They give us this sense of fullness of satisfaction, that indeed we are on that journey and having it meaningful, and we're doing the best we can to live it fully.
Wow, chills. Chills. Okay, Charlie Moon. Charlie, you're just incredible. Absolutely. So, and you've had some changes in your life. Do you know that he is a very popular auctioneer at charity balls? Maybe you can explain a little bit better about what you do. But he's in high demand, and so we appreciate you being here, all four of you being here.
So I always stick something in my coat pocket when I wear a jacket so I can tell when the last time I wore it. So the last time I wore this was when Tim Tebow was here last week, and we had 800 people in the room, and I helped raise money for Hope Ranch, which is for trafficked women, or as some people prefer to say, women sold into slavery. See, the reason I do what I do is because most nonprofits have great passion for their mission. Fair enough? They have great passion for their mission, but they don't have a great plan and process on how to make money. Fair enough? And so what I do is I go in front of the event and show them how to connect all those dots, because I've got it figured out. I've been doing it for 20 years. I've got it figured out. And so what I do is I help them understand this process, because with the right people and the right plan and the right process, you can do about anything. But if you don't have those three things in place, what you have is a fourth P, which is problems. And I tell people all the time that problems don't solve themselves. Some people hold on to hope that they will solve themselves, and problems don't solve themselves. Let me give you an example. Last July the 2nd, I was in the basement sorting the clothes because my wife's a firm believer that I, too, can run the washer, okay? Anything you can do for yourself, you should do for yourself. And so there was just something not right. And it had not been right for a few days. And so I went upstairs and I told my wife, I said, I don't want to scare you, but something's going on and I don't know what it is, so I think maybe we should have somebody diagnose this besides me. Fair enough? Yeah. So we call the doctor, and they said, yeah, go to the emergency room. We go to the emergency room, and what do? They ask me the question that you've all been asked. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being your greatest pain, what's your level of pain at this time? And I said, about a 3. I said, it doesn't really hurt. There's just something's not right. And they said, okay, have a seat. So I had a seat, and then they said, is there any cardiac history in your family? And I said, well, let me see. My dad had a heart attack and a valve replacement, and my mom had a heart attack. My sister had a heart attack. My brother, Bob, at 56, had a heart transplant. My other brother had 2 heart stents about 2 years ago, and my other brother's having a cath lab next week. So I think today's just my turn, okay? So here we go on the transition. At that time, I weighed 267.5 pounds. Our family doesn't die of cancer, they die of heart problems. Fair enough. And so as I lay there on the emergency room looking up at the ceiling tile, I went, things are fixing to change, right? And I made a deal that if I get through this, I'll take care of myself. And so I walked 6 days a week because, as Tom said, as Catherine said, you need to find something that fits you. What fits me is walking on a treadmill every day for 30 minutes watching YouTube videos. And I've watched everything from TED Talks to whatever, because I've done this for about 410 days now. And in that I began, so I tell people it's a real simple deal, Tom. It's because people they say, how did you do that? And I say, it's really simple. You got to, 1, eat right. And they go, yeah, I can do that for about 3 days. I can do that. Right. You got to eat right, exercise. And they go, yeah. And then I said, just to keep your attention and focus, have a little bitty heart attack. That worked for me, and it will work for you. But what happens is our independence gets in the way. I just had a conversation with somebody in this room whose husband had a heart attack last week, and guess what he did? He waited 3 days. He said, she said stubbornness kills thousands of people a year, and it does. So get somebody that can help you diagnose what's going on faster than you can, and then pay attention. And if you do those things and stick with it, so I walk 30 minutes 6 days a week. I take 1 day off in case I miss something, like I'm in an event last night and I'm in an event the night before. So I give myself that 1 day off just to have grace there that I can catch up and do 6 days a week. And my primary care physician said, if you do it consistently, so I think being consistent and holding yourself accountable will do a lot of things for you. So that's why I did it, because I was looking at those ceiling tiles and said things got to change. And then how I did it, just have that little heart attack. It'll work.
Smart man, and we're glad that you held yourself accountable and that you held that thought and you decided to make a change, because you raise a lot of money for people that do a lot of good. And so without you here, there's a lot of people that would not be able to fulfill their mission and leave their legacy, and they wouldn't be there to save people. So by saving yourself, you're saving a lot of people, Charlie.
Thank you.
Okay, ladies, feel free to jump up, because I know you're not much into sitting. How in the world did you two start this? I hear you have 9,000 followers on Facebook. So 9,500.
We
Okay.
aren't counting. But.
So let me put this into perspective for you. Randy and I know a very internationally popular author, Michael Mayer, who wrote 7L, the 7 Levels of Communication. He travels the world speaking. He does all kinds of things. He does masterminds. I mean, nonstop productivity. And he's been growing his Facebook group since Facebook started. And 2 weeks ago, he posted 9,000. I'm like, what? He just hit 9,000, and these ladies accidentally have 9,500. So how can you accidentally fall into purpose like you two are living right now?
We got lucky. No. Cindy and I started hiking, just the two of us, and some friends that I was working with at the time. And many other ladies would say they wanted to hike with us. And so we thought we'd start a little group up and hike with some of our friends. And so we set up a hike, and our first hike that we had 12 people show up. And we thought we had really hit the jackpot. We knew 2 of the 12, because we thought it was going to be our friends, and it was people that saw our post on Facebook, and they like to be outdoors and like to hike. And so our largest hike, though, to date was January 1st of this year. We always have a January 1st hike, and we've had it up at Great Plains Nature Center the last 3 years, I think. We had 175 ladies show up that morning for that hike. And so
It was cold.
So I think a lot of it is women like to be outside more than maybe they acknowledge at times. Once they get outside and realize that that is something they like, it really makes a difference. Why don't the women that are in our group here today stand up? Some of you are here. Stand up if you're in our group.
Woohoo! Awesome.
Looky here. Okay, while you're standing up, how many of you that aren't standing up would like to be in our group? Stand up.
All right.
Oh, there's some more. All right.
Where's my mom? Did you stand? No. She's not into hiking, I guess. That's not one of her things.
So we have a
goes, "I
hike
dance."
once a month that anyone that is a female, 12 years of age or older, can attend. We post all of our events on Facebook, tells all the details about the hike itself, where we're going to be, where we're meeting at, what time, how long it might last. It depends on how far you walk. We call it a hike. Hiking is walking. Sometimes it's a total flat hike. Sometimes there may be a little bit of ups and downs. We do not rock climb or anything like that. It is basically hiking and with incline and up and down, maybe in some sand or on some rock, but we aren't climbing over or up on top of rocks. So all the information is out there on our Facebook page, so you are able to go find it very easily. The shirts that we have, this is the name of our Facebook page. It's Women Hiking Kansas and Beyond. So you can just look it up by that name, and you can go see all of our past events and other events coming up.
So, speaking of Beyond, this weekend we're heading to Colorado with 89 women in tow to hike in Colorado. Yeah. And like Jerry said, we have women of all abilities. We have some that might hike 10 miles and some a tenth of a mile. It's all good. There is no bad hike. And the really cool thing about the group is you come by yourself, you will meet so many cool women. And so over in this group, you'll walk by, and it's a bunch of young gals, and they're talking about breastfeeding, and what formula are you giving baby, and all of that. And then the next group, you might hear, oh yeah, what are you taking in college? What classes are you in college? And then later on, there's our age, and oh yes, my back has really been... Yes, and you get your best information from those that have been there. But we just have a great time. And actually, there are some beautiful places right here in Kansas that you would be so surprised. Teeter Rock out around Cassidy, Kansas. Oh my goodness, the most beautiful sunrise, and off in the distance you can see wild mustangs and their mane is just flowing through the wind. It's really beautiful. Coronado Heights up in Lindsborg, Kansas, another really cool place. Now, don't let this deter you, but sometimes we do start early so you can see that sunrise. And the most beautiful part of a sunrise is before it gets up over the horizon, which might be 4:30 or 5 in the morning. But you'll love it. You will thank us, ladies, after you see it. And then you will drag your men there, and they will love it too. We've been down to Oklahoma to the Wichita Mountains. That was really cool. Devil's Den in Arkansas. Beautiful place. We stayed all night there. They have little cabins, and it was just a hoot. And all us girls, you have a good time. You go at your own pace. You have fun. And you know what? It's no big hard thing to join our group. You just show up and you become part of the family. So there you go.
And so you can go all by yourself, and you're just going to be part of the group, and everybody just goes at their pace, and so they kind of divide up into little groups. So I think that's really cool. But all these people that show up, they're like serious hikers with equipment and everything. Is that right?
Well, how serious does this table over here look? I mean, I'm sorry to call them out, but yeah. So, yeah, there are some things that we need and that we recommend. Hiking sticks. Girls, how many of you have been out walking in the neighborhood, swinging your arms down here, and your fingers start swelling up? Anybody else besides me? Yes, see? Well, hiking sticks. They keep your arms at a 90-degree angle. They're great, help to keep your balance. Also really good to, keep a critter away. And also really good if we're crossing a tiny bit of water. You can check a rock and make sure it's safe to step on. So hiking sticks. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Go to Walmart, $21, and you can buy yourself a pair of hiking sticks. And then you look like a real professional. Hiking boots. Oh, my goodness. Now, we have women that will come in tennis shoes. If you do that, don't come in white kids, because sometimes they might get muddy, dirty, all that kind of stuff. But once you start loving it, you'll go out and you'll buy a pair of hiking boots. One of the things that I always recommend ladies do is if you get a pair of hiking boots or a new pair of pumps or any of those type of shoes, put all your other shoes away and wear those hiking boots wherever you go. To the grocery store. Make people wonder what you're up to. But wear them to the grocery store. Wear them outside. Mow the grass. Whatever y'all want to do. That way you can find out where they're starting to rub and where you're starting to get a blister. Because there's nothing worse. Well, I'm sure there's something worse, but it's a really bad thing to be 3 or 4 miles out on a trail and you realize, oh, gosh, darn it, I've got a big old blister back there. So always bring Band-Aids, too. Hat. Oh, my goodness, yes. You want to keep that sun off your face so you always look nice and young. Keep the sun out of your eyes. Also keeps the ticks off of you, too. So we always recommend a hat. Backpack. You got to have something to pack all your food in on the trail.
Or your scissors.
Yeah, or your scissors. Yes.
Lawbreakers.
We hear some girls do that. But yeah, a backpack. To carry all those Band-Aids, to carry water. You wouldn't believe how many women show up without a drop of water. And that's okay because they didn't know. So we always try to have some extra water in the back of our vehicles. But carry water all the time. It's really good to stay hydrated. See this tube? So these young people have come up with, they call it a bladder. And you put this bladder in the back of your backpack, back here, and then there's a tube. And so way back when Jerry and I first started hiking, we would carry water bottles. And so when I got thirsty, I'd have to say, hey, would you get my water bottle out? And so she'd get mine, and then I'd get hers out, and we'd drink and gab and drink. And then when we were done, can you put this back in my backpack? And wasted a whole bunch of time that we could have been seeing really cool stuff. So now, bladders, you fill it up. if you get a black, it's just kind of a long oval type thing. You pour water in it, and the tube hooks into the bottom of the bladder. When you put it in your backpack, be sure that you put that tube at the bottom. Because we had a lady one day, she goes, I keep sucking on this and nothing comes out. She had it in there upside down. I said, honey, you could suck all day long. You are never going to get any water out of that. Anyway, so yes, so now they've just come up with all kinds of things. See that can? Boost oxygen. Oh, my goodness. So Jerry and I were out in Colorado one time, and whenever we'd get tired, I'd say, you want to stop and take a picture? Yeah, let's. And so we'd take a picture and breathe. That's how we would always make our time to breathe. And so the next day, we're out getting ready to go on a hike, and my knee was hurting, still is, and I walked into this pharmacy to get one of those little neoprene knee sleeves. Walk in there, get that. As I'm walking out, there was a display of Boost Oxygen, and I thought, what a scam. I'll take 2 of those. I bought 2 cans, get out to the car, throw one at Jerry. She thought I'd lost my marbles. Oh, it is pure. It's 95% pure oxygen. The oxygen y'all are breathing right now. Y'all, I'm from Wichita. Did you hear me say y'all? I've probably said it 5 times. So my husband and I, we have lived a little bit in Texas, and that's what I brought home was y'all. But so it's just oxygen in a can. The air that we're breathing right now is like 21%. So we'll be out on the trail, and we'll be taking our little oxygen, and you just kind of put it up to your mouth and just, oh, did you hear that? And it just shoots all this wonderful oxygen into your lungs, and it's amazing. We did learn something when we were out in Colorado the first day, and I'd say when I was getting tired, I'd say to Jerry, "You want to huff?" Well, I know, okay. So we asked these young gals to take a photo of us, and they finally said, y'all might not want to use that phrase anymore, especially out here in Colorado. So, yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Shark Tank.
Oh, so that day, that picture of the girls that told us not to say huff anymore, we took this picture and we had our little cans of oxygen like this. So we started really using it, and then one of my kids taught me how to tag on Facebook. So I started tagging Boost Oxygen. Well, they took notice of all these old women out hiking.
Huffing,
yes. And so we'd send them pictures, and they started posting it on their page. Well, guess where they got their start? Shark Tank. So a year after they won, they were doing a reunion, and they sent us all this really serious paperwork, like we had to sign all this paper, and they used that very first picture that Jerry and I took using our Boost Oxygen on Shark Tank. So anyway, it really, really works. And you know what? Even if it's all in my head, guess what? Don't stinking care. It works. So anyway, but Boost Oxygen. So this is kind of how we look a lot of times. Jerry always wears shorts. I always wear leggings or long pants because if a blade of grass touches my leg, I'm sure it's a snake. So I don't care if it's 100 degrees out. We always do that. But anyway, so we would love, girls, sorry guys, we'd love for you all to come and join us sometime. We have a lot of fun. I don't care if you just go a quarter of a mile. You're outside, you're breathing, you're taking beautiful pictures, and then you're going to slap those on Facebook, and then all your friends are going to say, where'd you get that pretty picture? Oh, that's in Kansas. No way. Come with me next time. So we have a really, really good time.
it sounds like it. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to get you up and moving.
and motivating because exercise is good for your brain as well as your body. It helps you learn. It helps to laugh. So this is Rebecca, the owner of Club Hope. Thank you, Rebecca. If you'd like to join us, please do, or maybe take a potty break, whatever you want to do. But let's boogie just a little bit.
Hello, everybody. Rise up. This is your chance to hit the restroom if you need to. Perfect chance. But the first thing, so I have a super stressful week. Just start marching here, or tap. Here we go. So, first of all, just remember, like, life is too short to not have a little fun. So I brought you a few stress balls. And at the club, Brian's got a couple over there. We actually are like, we take the stress ball, we make the face. I mean, it's simple little things, people, right? It's all about living life now and for the future. You're never too old to dream a new dream or set a new goal, right? All right, let's get serious about the exercise now. All right. So the whole goal these days is that we get around, right? We're gonna walk, we're gonna do whatever. So let's march it here. You can also do this in your chair. That's another option. All right, then we're gonna do our shoulder reaches here, range of motion. Get that, baking soda off the top shelf. And then in the front, stretching those arms and shoulders. How about this? Let's get around right here, those hips. Believe it or not, you really should do this every day. Our hips, hip flexors, everything's a little tight. You're supposed to keep dancing, people. Other way. All right, here's the fun one. Find your chair. Hold your leg up. Can you do it? Okay, while you're working on balance, I'm going to give a little promo in case you've ever wanted to come see Club Hope. That leg's still up, by the way. We have a grand reopening this Friday. I have these 7 to 8:30. Come see it. You don't have to worry about exercise or anything. You can just come check us out. Good. Shake that out. Other way, who actually stayed up the whole time? It don't matter. Do the other one. All right, and then on Saturday, we have a retreat for cancer survivors and caregivers. It's going to be an amazing day of information. Stop by and see me for either one of those. All right, foot down. Who did both without touching? Who did both with touching? That's all of you. All right. All right, here we go. March. What we don't realize is just a little bit of movement can truly change your life and your vitality. I have someone here who actually took me up on my free personal training. Don't worry, we got one more song. And she's been working out with me actually only one time a week to get started. And you can see muscle definition. She's only been with me a few months. Muscle definition. She's able to do the backstroke for the first time in years. And she's a swimmer. So I can promise you, y'all know this one, right? A little bit of movement can go a long ways. 2 times a week, just 30 minutes with a personal trainer who knows what they're doing. Come on, let's shake it. Remember, you want to be in charge of what you want to do, not your physical limitations or not your health. It's all about living, folks, right? Right? Now, I know some of you can't hear me, but most of you can. It's all about living, right? Having fun. Shake it, baby. How about this? You guys want to use your brain? A little extra. We're always using our brain. All right, here we go. Tap, cross, out, behind. Woo. So it's also good to do things that are cross body. Tap across, out, back. Your chair's there. Don't worry if you need it. One more this way. Good. Switch it up. Oh, here we go. I have to think about it. Across, out, back. Across, out. I may have just created a new extra pattern, but that's okay. What matters is that it doesn't have to be perfect. It's that you're moving, right? All right, here we go. Come on, let's hear it. It's a crowd. We're not in school, people. Shake it. Let's go. Don't worry, you only got like 30 seconds left. You're gonna make it. I promise. And of course, I'll be here afterwards. You can ask me some questions about active, getting active, about starting. How about up here? Let's go. Get those arms up. Stretch them out. All right, here we go. Shake those hands. Jazz hands right here. I'm thinking AGT is our next stop. What do you think? But they turn us down, right? All right, here we go. Okay, come on, practice. You just practice. Give yourself a bow. You all have an awesome day. Remember, just moving a little bit can truly change your life.
Thank you, Rebecca. That was awesome. All right, let's learn how to use the Stabby Kitty. And I hope you're writing down some questions that you have for our panelists here, and we're going to get into the Q&A. All right, let's hear about the Stabby Kitty. Do you have your Stabby Kitties ready?
Everybody grab your Stabby Kitty. If you did not get one, who was waving at me? Oh, okay.
Airline contraband, make sure you've got it.
Okay, I think they're right over there. All right, so Stabby Kitty. Stabby Kitty is a weapon. It's a non-lethal weapon, but it is a weapon. I bet y'all remember, girls, when we were young, they taught us how to, you put your keys between your fingers, right? Keys will still work, but keys move independently between your fingers. And if somebody yanks your keys out of your hand, the jagged edges are going to hurt your little fingers. Well, Stabby Kitty is nice and smooth. She is not going to hurt your fingers. I put middle and ring finger right through Miss Kitty's eyes. That little loop on the side is where you would hook your car keys. I've been using these for about 20 years. Way back 20 years ago, you used to actually have to take your keys out of your purse and unlock your car. Now, most people just go up to their car, whoop, and it opens up from your purse. I put my house keys on Stabby Kitty from that little loop. That little loop is designed to break away. If somebody grabs your keys and you can't get it off your hand, it will break away. Let them have your darn keys. You still have this weapon. And we're just going to go for the eyes, the throat, the gut, the groin. All right? Everybody up on your feet. And I do not want any angry phone calls from men saying, yeah, you taught my wife how to use that thing. All right. One foot slightly behind the other. This just gives you a real sturdy base. Your knees are going to be bent so you can bob and weave. Hands are going to be up. Girls, got to protect the moneymaker, okay? All right, you're going to keep your hands up. I want you to kind of look around the room. I want you don't get to move, but I want you to look around the room, pick out a set of eyes. On the count of three, I want your other hand up in front of your face, okay? I want you to pick out a set of eyes. You don't get to go over there. And on the count of three, you are just going to jab, no, and bring it right back. And you have to yell like a wild woman, okay? Okay, we'll do it on the count of three, all right? All right, hands up. On the count of three, you're going to go for a set of eyes. 1, 2, 3, no! Woo-hoo! All right, this time you're going to go for the windpipe. You jab, I know, but they're not getting ready to take you to the mall, okay? You're going to go for the windpipe. You jab somebody in the windpipe. What does that give you time to do? Run, yes, run away to safety. Throat straight on, hands up. 1, 2, 3, no! Yeah! How about this time? Give them a little undercut right under the chops, okay? 1, 2, 3, no! Yeah! This time you're going to go for the gut. And when you get in there, give it a little twist. I'm actually a very nice person, but anyway. All right, gut and twist. 1, 2, 3, no! What's below the gut? Yeah, the knees. Oh, that kind of group, huh? All right, we're going for the groin, all right? On the count of 3, go for that groin. 1, 2, 3, no! Eyes again. 1, 2, 3, no! Throat straight on. 1, 2, 3. Undercut. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, gut and twist. 1, 2, 3. Groin. 1, 2, 3. Now, if you find yourself in a situation and you're thinking, oh my gosh, what'd that crazy woman say? And you can't think of the spots, you just go chihuahua crazy. No! Now you've got great DNA on Stabby Kitty, and that person has 2-inch scratches all up and down their body that you can identify at the police station. Everybody have a seat.
Awesome. That might be one way to create a little extra longevity. But you can see the passion, right? Okay? So these 4 people up here, they have a purpose and a passion to help other people. When you're helping other people, you feel better. So that's what we're talking about today.
So the way I got started and created Fearless and Female, maybe some of you were around in 1977. I created Fearless and Female because of a friend of mine, Julie Ladd. I'm not going to pass this photo around, but in this cute little photo that you can come and see later on, she's the cute one. I'm smoking a cigar. This was first grade. I think it was Grandparents' Day, but Julie and I grew up next door to each other. We went all through elementary school together. We went to middle school. We went to high school together. After high school, we both enrolled in college at Wichita State. The summer after our freshman year at Wichita State, my friend and next-door neighbor since first grade, Julie Marie Ladd, was actually murdered in the basement of her dormitory. Julie wasn't doing anything dangerous that night. She simply had walked down to the basement. What happened was there was an open stairwell that led to the basement. The parking lot was right there. Stairway was right here. Innocently enough, the girls would prop that basement door open, so if they forgot their keys or their books, they could just simply run down the stairs and up into the dorm. Unfortunately, that's exactly what this fella did. He simply walked to the basement and waited for somebody to come downstairs. Anybody ever hear the name BTK? Yeah, that little freak. Well, BTK is not the one that murdered my friend, but he started all of his shenanigans when we were in high school, and we were just afraid all the time. After Julie's murder, I started taking lots of different forms of self-defense. Girls, most of it taught to me by men. Guess what? We're different. What's going to work for these guys is probably not going to work for me. Okay? I can remember being at this one training, and they had us on the ground, pinning a perpetrator to the ground on the ice. And I kind of was looking up and down the row, and it was like cop, 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 FBI, ninjas were way down that way. And I didn't know this person, but we were supposed to be pinning them down. And as I'm straddling this stranger and pinning him down, my knees weren't even touching the ground. And I thought, this is stupid. All he would have to do is jerk his arms, knock me off, and continue his attack on me. Right then and there, I decided I'm not going to teach women the lie that you're going to be able to beat up any dude you see. If that happens, bonus. But I teach women to run away. I want to be as far away from this person as possible. This person means me harm, all right? And I'm going to get loud, yell, scream, and holler because I want everybody looking my direction. That doesn't mean that they're going to save you, okay? So we have to be our own best protector. Yes, ma'am, I love that, amen. I like a purse that crosses over my body like this. This purse never leaves my body. Now I've got 2 hands to fight, but I also have 2 hands to shop, so there's always a silver lining, all right? And boys, one day I was walking into Walmart, and a gentleman was walking in front of me. And I looked down, and in his back pocket, I could see almost half of his wallet. He had some dollar bills in there. And if I was a bad person, I could have just plucked that wallet out of his pocket, okay? Back to women's purses. How many of y'all have ever been in Walmart or the grocery store and you see a lady's purse in the part of the seat where the baby's supposed to be sitting, and she's over here looking at the green beans? You could steal a purse every time you go into the store. Just like that fella that was walking into Walmart, I could have plucked that wallet out of his back pocket. So, guys, be sure that if you're going to put your wallet in your back pocket, pull your shirt out over it, okay? We don't want to look like a good target, okay? We want to look like a really bad target of crime. If I'm walking out somewhere, I'm going to go ahead and make eye contact with people. I want you to know I've seen you. I know you're in my environment. And when I say make eye contact, I don't mean to flex on them, okay? Just that sociably acceptable amount of time I've seen you. I could identify all of you in a lineup, okay? Let people know you've seen them. Girls, intuition. Listen to your intuition. Your intuition is very rarely wrong. I have 3 boys. I could tell the minute they came home from elementary school that one of them had gotten in trouble. My intuition was just saying, oh, but it was that middle one. He was always in trouble. But I listened to my intuition. Your intuition is very rarely wrong. If you think about a little deer in the woods eating nuts and berries, and he hears a twig snap, boom, his ears perk up, his head turns, and he gets the heck out of there. He doesn't say, oh, that man in that big orange vest with that big old gun doesn't mean me any harm. Listen to your intuition. I don't care if y'all have 15 cats at home. Get yourself a big beware of dogs sign, okay? Criminals are lazy. They don't want to have to mess with a big old dog. I've had ladies tell me that they've gone out and gone to Goodwill and bought a great big pair of men's work boots and set those on the front porch. Or gotten a great big rawhide bone and set that on the front porch. Our hope is that he thinks, I don't want to have to mess with whatever wears those boots or eats that rawhide bone.
Very good. Awesome. Give her a round of applause. Lots of good stuff there, and I want to say that listen to your intuition. There's a reason why you feel certain things and you think certain things, and that could be your call to purpose and your call to passion. You can trust yourself. You were given that ability. Sometimes people will say, well, I just didn't feel right about that. And I'm not talking about crime. I'm talking about anything. It could be anything. I didn't feel right about that. Well, there's a reason why. So listen to that and trust yourself. All right. So we have just about 15 minutes. So what came across your mind since we were talking about all that? Is that okay to use the stabby kitty if somebody's trying to get us, Father?
You can only use proportional means of defense, not to kill them, but at least to hold them off. That's my medical ethicist coming out. Proportional means. You know, with regard to what I started off commenting about, I mentioned about the importance of taking care of our bodies. They're sacred vessels. But the fact of the matter is, sooner or later, they're going to wear out. There's no answer ifs about that. Sometimes I like to ask groups, what's the mortality rate for every generation? I had a family resident at Wesley one time tell me he thought he'd beat the rest of them. He said, I think it's 67%. I think it's 100%, period. Didn't think about that, not to break bad news to you. So when we get to that point of that sound body and it's breaking down, what we end up doing in terms of hospice care is that there's no reason why it should be a miserable body. Are you hearing me? There's no reason why you should die in intractable pain. The medical means are there to keep you comfortable, pain-free. The medical means are there to provide for those troublesome symptoms, air hunger. We can take care of that. So it can still be a sound body that serves that deeper dimension of what I talked about earlier, the psychosocial, spiritual. And in many instances, I will tell you this, many of you might be nurses here, when it comes to those 4 levels of care, areas of care that we provide support on, the physical, the emotional, the social, and the spiritual, I think the most cut and dried, black and white, is the physical, when you get right down to it. And I'm not saying in any stretch of the imagination trying to make one more important than the other. But I think when it comes to that sound mind, that sound spirit, that takes a little more insight, a little more wisdom. It's a little more challenging if you're the caregiver to provide that kind of support. But if we talk about the difference between pain and suffering, I would immediately say that pain relates to our physical functioning, and we're all going to get our aches and pains. Even the back goes a little bit, right? But when it comes right down to it, even though that physical pain is an ingredient of suffering, I will tell you categorically that the greatest area of suffering end up in the psychosocial spiritual. If you don't have a sense of trust, if you don't have a sense of well-being with one another, if you don't have a sense of meaning, that can really do a number on us. I'll say that categorically.
Amen. Don't we make ourselves suffer by the things that we question about ourselves, the way we judge other people, and the overwhelm that we're dealing with in our lives? There are people to help, and when you are working also to share your gifts, whether it's quilting or teaching something or volunteering, that lifts your suffering and lifts your spirits. And
let me give you an illustration of that, Catherine. I walked into, there's various things I've learned, highlights. The families, the patients have taught me an immense amount. They've enriched my life. I had walked into this room for a patient we were taking under care, and the first things out of this woman's mouth were, "Thank God for cancer." And you know, I hope my forehead wasn't too forward with that, because immediately, I'm sure for you too, why would this woman say that? We have more time for interaction, but to cut to the chase here, in effect, that can take place in many different ways. Say, here I am, moving along on an even keel. I get into an accident, I'm gone. I get that, rather than the little warning sign of the heart attack, I get the massive heart attack, I'm gone. If you've got, say, dealing with a cancer, you've been treating, you're on this slope, but it might go this way. And finally, the professionals will say, "Tom, there's nothing more we can do. This cancer is terminal." But it's not going to be a precipitous drop, is it? It's going to be more of a slope. This woman was saying, I now have time to take care of those things I really need to take care of. And for her, it was a lot of fixing relationships. So myself and the social worker got together. We worked with her. We were able to bring the people in she wanted to reconcile with. And you can pretty well guess what happened when she did that work, very sacred, holy work with that last one. That took place within 24 hours. She had finished her work. She had completed that life journey. She knew why she had been here. That's what I want to illustrate with the sound body and a sound mind. We want our bodies not to be miserable, because you can't do that work in the spiritual, the social, and the emotional arena if you're racked in unbelievable pain. That's got to be first, the sound body, before we can work on getting that sound spirit, that sound mind.
Awesome. And don't wait too long, because there are services available to provide comfort when it's needed. And so stay curious about everything, all of these topics, and go to the professionals that can help lead the way and educate you and help you do what you need to do.
To live life as fully as possible. That's what we all ought to be about.
Yep.
Can I give a beer commercial? You only go around once in life, the Blatz commercial, so you got to grab for all the gusto you can.
Very good. Jillian, where are you? Do we have some questions? If you have a question, could you raise your hand so that you can ask questions of the group up here? Jill will come around with a microphone. What are some of your ahas from today? What struck you as something that you thought was worth writing down or worth remembering? What's something that you're going to tell somebody when you get home or you're going to talk about over lunch?
Got one over here.
I just have a question about hospice. Do you have like a territory, an area that you cover? My mother's in assisted living in Butler County and has been in and out of hospice, but how do you determine which hospice to use?
You need to do your homework. You know, you want to find some track records. You can also go on websites, and Medicare has some rankings about programs. I'm sorry, I can't give you specific directions. But you have every legal right to choose the program you want. That's your choice, even though you might have someone push you in a certain direction, if they're really looking again at doing it as a profit business venture. So the final bottom line is yours. And it can be you can interview even programs. And you can go on the website and kind of look at the track records and so on.
Okay. I just didn't know if you were
Yeah.
limited to such
And
a
it can be a really, really difficult wrestling process, exactly. Yeah.
She did really well. She just recovered enough that she came back out of hospice. So
Yeah. Sometimes people flunk hospice.
yeah, she did.
Yeah, flunking hospice. Awesome. Graduate off of hospice. Who else provides hospice services here in this room? Pam Crawford, the redhead. She's here every single month. And so here you've got two resources right here. Who knows resources because of what you do as an attorney, as a Medicare insurance licensee? Okay, we all know people. Every time you interview someone for palliative care or hospice or in-home care or home health, you learn something. Because you can be in control of your own life. You can be a great caregiver by asking lots of questions. And the way you learn is by having these one-on-one conversations. So we're here to spark it. And then it's up to you to reach out and have these one-on-ones.
As you touch on that point, some of you may have in the back of your mind, what's the difference between palliative care and hospice care? What Medicare requires, and most commercial insurances are basing this also, two doctors have to certify that this person's prognosis is terminal, meaning in Medicare's judgment, 6 months or less. Doesn't have to be absolute. So, and the second part Medicare is very clear about is that you will forego curative medical interventions, and the only medical interventions will be for comfort. Are you getting that? Well, there are some people need a lot of comfort care also while they're still undergoing curative. So we've started within our program called Bridges, so that we have professional staff who are certified on pain control, symptom management, who now will also be there to provide that expertise to make sure they're kept comfortable, even as they're undergoing curative treatment. So the only problem is there's not much reimbursement out there for it. So what we do with our program at Harry Hines Hospice, we really underwrite our Bridges program because we don't get reimbursement for it. It's that simple.
Very good.
Got
Okay.
another question over
Very
here.
good.
It's not actually a question, but I first of all want to thank everyone for being here. I don't think there's anyone that didn't give me valuable, important, and really appreciate the information. And I wanted to share, thank you, Father Welk. I went through the program that you have, and I think it's the best in Wichita. And you had such beautiful people. My husband was in that for about 7 days. He wanted to be home, so he was. And I was so ignorant, people. I thought, why aren't they giving him food? Why aren't, drink or IVs? And I never asked. I don't know how dumb I was, but Father then explained it to me afterwards. If you you drowned if you had water when you were dying, like a horrible death. And he explained it all so beautifully. And the nurses that came to the house, ironically, one, and I hope she's still there, that might be a question, her name was Angel. And ironically, she worked at the most beautiful, hard times, I would think, at night, to be there in the evening when it would be the most difficult. And her name was Angel. But they were all so good and helpful, and I so appreciated the service. And if I had it to do over where my husband was dying there, I would have spent every moment by his side. I wouldn't worry about the house being dirty or anything. It was just so beautiful and so appreciated.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's...
And I think a lot of us that have had these kind of experiences, the only thing that we would have done differently was called for help sooner. Okay.
That's almost over. I hear that again and again and again.
But
we are so good in the medical community about all the curative, almost endless array of curative interventions. It is very difficult to understand and know when enough is enough. My doctoral work is medical ethics, so I do much consulting about the various questions you alluded to.
That'd be a great topic all by itself.
Yeah.
So we have a couple more questions. Charlie, we want to hear a last word from you, too. And I brought Mr. Brian Spear up here. He's with Angels Home Health. He's going to lead this. First time in 5 years, I'm not going to be here next month. First time. I thought, what if I got the flu or something? What would happen? So I trust there's people that can make it happen. So he's going to make it happen along with Randy and Jillian. And his company requested this topic. And I like my title. I think it was really creative. Ignite Your Safety. Mastery of Fire and Emergency Preparedness. Because there's been some seniors die in fires because they couldn't get out of their house. If you can't leap out of your bed or out of your lazy boy and save yourself from your house burning down, maybe you're not living in the right place, okay? And we're going to talk about home safety too. So you used to be a firefighter, and you have all the connections, so we're going to have some show and tell. You're going to bring some fancy stuff next month, and you're going to tell us about fire and home safety.
So we have Wichita Fire coming. We have people from and information coming from Sedgwick County Emergency Management. Think of them as FEMA, but more local. And we also have EMS coming out. So we'll have some really great speakers. It'll be a lot of fun. A lot of great information. Please bring notebooks next month because you guys will definitely need to take down some notes, okay? I'm looking forward to it.
Will you let me know if he does a really great job?
No, don't know. No.
Okay, thank you very much. He's a wonderful volunteer. He serves on our board of directors. So does Pam Crawford back here. So a lot of amazing people make these things happen. Jillian, more questions?
Yep, Joyce has something to share.
Right into the microphone.
All right. You asked for an aha moment.
Aha.
Every single month is an aha moment. I schedule my month around this. I think this is the most best-kept secret in the city of Wichita. And what we can do is for every one of us here today is to share this with our seniors' friends.
Thank you. Thank you. So there's plans for a month around this event, and it's the best kept secret in town. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Charlie, I'm one of those nonprofits that has no idea how to ask for money because I've been a real estate agent all my life, and we do everything for free until closing day. If we're still the real estate agent on closing day, then we might get a paycheck. But we don't ask people for anything ever. We just do free. And that's how I'm running this nonprofit. So maybe you and I can talk sometime.
We can talk, but I want you to listen to me for just a second. Pay attention because I'm going to say something that you need to hear. That when God puts somebody, whoever your God is, when God puts somebody in your life, there's a reason. And you've got to be brave enough to let them in. Catherine is a resource. Tom said he will stay around and talk to anybody as long as they want to listen or talk. These ladies are a resource for you. There's a reason God put these people and those people in your life. So be brave enough to let them in. Deal?
Deal.
You sound like a bunch of old people. Deal?
And I've benefited from Charlie's many times. Your expertise is immense to raise money for nonprofits. Thank
It's
you.
unbelievable. That man sells used desserts, right? He's got talent. You need to know this man. We want to introduce you to the best of the best. And here they are. Here they are. We have an attorney still here in the room. He's ready to talk to you. We have Cherie, the blonde, curly hair. She's been with us since the beginning. There are wonderful people. Catholic Diocese is here with the Adult Day Center. They're here to help. They would not be here if they didn't think that they could do something for you. So engage, engage, engage. All right. I think it's a wrap.